Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at jonnydelsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Happy Friday. Welcome into the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that is going to take you through the NFL schedule, all things Niners. Very excited. Man, first I want to say one thing, Johnny. I want to talk through some couple of wide receivers that used to be in our building that have been on Instagram acting a fool. Don't know if everyone saw this. Here are the two issues I want to bring up, and I basically want to see what the faithful think, because Johnny, you're not the drama. You're not you're not Johnny Drama. You're just the whys and hows, and we love that. But I am curious to see what does the faithful think of Iayuk still like taking pictures with Cash and being kind of a moron, and then Jawan Jennings liking a post from Colin Cowherd, who I have talked about on this program many a time. Yes, that is my ode, living in Indiana, my ode to Pat McAfee. So he kind of liked a post that was saying that we are kind of on our decline. And, you know, Instagram shares with folks when you like something. It's like you can't go liking all these Instagram models as a married man. Like, it's kind of one of those, like, you get found out, you know. But it made news. People are talking about it. I'm curious what do the faithful think. And look, it's May 15th, guys. There isn't a ton going on, so those are
there's a lot going on. We got film that we're working through.
Well,
we got a schedule release. We got
about the schedule, for sure.
We got the Dante Whitner, Jair Brown drama going on. We got Iayuk drama going on. We got Jawan Jennings drama going on. We have as much drama as TNT back in the day. If you remember, back in the late 90s,
Kara Sedgwick,
it was TNT. We know drama.
Oh yeah.
That was a big deal for them. That was their big brand push back in that, and that was why they kicked WCW off. No joke. Anyways, but we know drama around here. I'll start with Iayuk. I am so over this guy when you're doing this. Like, you're dumb enough to not and people, I've had people pushing back on me on with this stuff, telling me that I'm just carrying water for the team and spinning their narrative. Look, at this point, it doesn't matter about a narrative. You did something to forfeit your contractual obligations, or their contractual obligations to you, in guaranteed cash. Like, I don't know what world people think that this is, where somebody can sign a contract to somebody else, fail to live up to those contractual obligations, and then expect to get all the benefits of that contract. At that point, why is there a contract? You might as well just say, well, I'm I'm a W-2 employee, and and you can't fire me, so I'm just going to do whatever I want and I still get paid. It doesn't work that way, because people are trying to say, well, they voided his guarantee, so at that moment he wasn't going to come back and risk further injury and to his career, and without some guarantees. Okay, well, he didn't pick up the phone. He wasn't answering phone calls. That has been nothing of what we've understood. I've had people say that, and I go, they voided his guarantee. Like, people are acting like they just decided they wanted to screw him over and voided his guarantees. This is a contract. And there's language in there, in case of injury, that there's, in case you've torn an ACL, in case you've done this is what you have to now do. Like, these contracts are not one page on a napkin. These are long contracts. That's why you have an agent who is a lawyer and also has a legal side, that in case of an injury like this, if he didn't understand that, then that's either a failure by him to understand what his contract was, or a failure of his agent. And I don't have sympathy when you're getting contracts in the neighborhood of 25 plus $million a year, $28 million a year. I don't have sympathy there. You're getting paid an insane amount of money. You should at least have the understand, or hire somebody who can explain your contract to you, of what you can do, what you can't do, what you have to do. That's we're not look, this is not talking about like somebody who's the janitor at your high school who signed a contract. This is a very high paid job that very few people have the luxury of ever having, and you're kind of acting flippant about this whole thing. You just had to follow through with what you agreed to do in case of injury. You can't then turn around and say, "Well, I don't want to do that." That's ridiculous. Then you shouldn't have signed the contract in the first place. Like, I have no patience for this. So you voided your guarantees. They did not void your guarantees. You failed. They could not have done that unless you triggered something in that contract. If you didn't understand that, that's on you. That's on your agent. You should have fired your agent, but you didn't. So it wasn't on your agent. It was on you.
Yeah.
You elected to go into that. You can't then turn around and say, I'm not going to render services that I'm only paid for if I render those services. I'm not going to render those services because the risk is too great. You voided your guarantees. They did not they did not just take it from you. They did this there's this idea that it's just these rich people taking money from other people. This is slightly less rich people having guarantees voided by more rich people. And you had a contract. He failed to live up to it. You get out on the field and provide your services if you want to get paid. He hasn't even returned the phone calls. Like, that
Right.
tells me you don't care.
Teammates don't even know where he is.
And then you post videos of yourself driving 110 miles an hour past the stadium, and then be like, "Well, I'm just a gearhead. That's what I do." You can't answer a phone call, but you can use that same phone to record videos of yourself driving 110 miles an hour onto the on ramp.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, they've been trying to trade you and to somewhere where you maybe will go and play, because you're not playing there. Um, and they're trying to reach out to you. The 49ers can't get a hold of him, according to several reporters. Other teams can't even get a hold of him. He's not returning calls. You don't have the ability to return calls or emails or anything, but you have time to use that same phone to post yourself with stacks of cash, a Mercedes, watches, and talk about how rich you are. And I'm sorry, I don't have any patience for this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. You don't get to play the victim when you're acting like this. You don't get to play like, well, I'm a real guy, and then say, well, 49ers are just doing me wrong. I'm sorry. No, you don't get
No.
paid the kind of money that you've been paid. Literally, you have more money than 99.99% of people in the world will ever see. And a lot of that has to do with winning a genetic jackpot. And you like, this is you have an opportunity in front of you that so many people in the world, if they had the genetics that you would work harder than you. Like this idea that these guys are all really hard workers, and to get to this level you have to work really hard. There is that part of it, but you can't work your way to the NFL. Like you have to have the genetic jackpot to get there. Like Carver Willis, I've been doing the tape on him. He talked about, well, I didn't get the genetic jackpot. He's still genetically more gifted than
Yeah.
1 in 1,000 people in the country, right? Of what he can do at his size, and that he's his size, and that and all that stuff. So, like, even the guys who are practice squad players in the NFL are better athletes than almost anybody that we've ever met in our lives. So, like, eh, eh, you have been given a gift that many people would work really, really hard to have, and you're just pissing it away. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is, and people are saying, like, well, the 49ers are really being petty here. This is a bad look. No, it's not actually. This is not a bad look. You know what happened? I remember everybody said that about the Michael Crabtree situation, right? Like when Michael Crabtree was a rookie, everybody said, if we remember, Michael Crabtree was holding out on his rookie contract. This is before the rookie wage scale, because he felt he was the best receiver out of college. But the Raiders had picked Darius Hayward Bay before him, and he was like, I was the Biletnikoff Award winner. I was the guy. Adam disappeared for a second. I was the guy that was the best receiver in college, not Darius Hayward Bay. So I need a contract bigger than him. And the 49ers were sitting there saying, well, it's one thing to believe that, but you were picked 3 spots after him. So,
Sorry.
like, sorry, you're not considered better than him. We'll give you the contract. Go prove that you're better than him. And he held up for 10 weeks, if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was during the Singletary era. He held up for 10 weeks, and it was finally like Dion got him to sign his contract because he wanted to be paid, and the 49ers were holding the line. And I remember every fan was like, the 49ers just need to get it done, just pay the man, just do what you need to do. But the league actually was very, very thankful to the Yorks that they held the line on Crabtree, because if you start doing that, the moment you say, well, we're going to give in on this to this receiver, now you are screwing every other team, because every player
Yep.
isn't now valued by by what the league said through the draft. They're valued by the players themselves, and that was never going to be an approach that the league wanted, and that did kick in the rookie wage scale during the CBA. That's why the NFL went to the players union and said there has to be a rookie wage scale, because we cannot have unproven guys who haven't played a snap in the NFL coming in and dictating what their value is to NFL
Yeah.
teams. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. This is the same thing that's happening here. You don't get to completely abandon your contractual obligations and then turn around and say, this team is doing me wrong by not releasing me and letting me go get a free agent contract. No, he must render services, or he is on the left team reserve list, and the 49ers do not owe him a dime. Every bit that he misses of what he is contractually required to show up for, because what is he forfeiting right now? He's forfeiting $100,000 workout bonus. That is gone now because he's not there at the facility. He's considered a healthy player at this point. Like, he has to show up and be able to pass a physical to get his $100,000 workout bonus, to be there for workout bonus. So he's forfeiting $100,000. He
Yeah.
has $750,000 in per game roster bonuses. He's forfeiting those because he's not going to show up in the building. This man is forfeiting himself $850,000. And he's posting pictures of stacks of 20s and how he's super rich. He's due over $1.2 million in base salary. He will forfeit every single one of those. He's going to forfeit almost like $80,000 a week that he doesn't show up. Like, this is insane amounts of money that he's just, it's not a big deal, apparently. If that is not worth it to you, then why would any team think that you would even be worthy of bringing in and signing to a contract? Like, he's lost his mind, that for some reason he thinks that if the 49ers released him today, that he would go sign a $20 million contract. It's not happening. It is not happening at this point. Teams are going to not want to touch you with a 12-foot pole. Like at this point, there was about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, teams willing to give a 7th round pick for him. At this point, I don't think anybody like he would have to have a vet minimum prove it kind of contract to even get to a training camp right now. Like this is not being petty. The 49ers are going to hold on to him until he shows up. And the biggest reason why is this is also a favor to the rest of the league to say, will this man even show up for us to deal with his contract? If he's not going to do that, then it sends a message to everybody in the NFL, do not sign this guy.
Yeah.
So the rest of the NFL is going to say, don't release him. Don't release him, because we need to see if he will even show up to do this simple stuff. And if he's not, we don't want him in the building at all.
Just overall bad. Even I thought maybe behind the scenes, Washington was maybe saying, "All right, just do what you do, Brandon. Stay
Just
low for a
release
while."
you. We'll
Well,
you up. I
but
don't
I
think
don't
that's
know.
happening at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say is I feel like that's maybe going by the wayside. Like he's maybe getting a text from the brass over in Washington saying, "Hey, hey, 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 buddy, hold on now. This wasn't part of the deal. You're going a little bit too far off the deep end." And then the text probably stop after a while, like, and they tell Jaden Daniels, "Hey, man, he's not the guy. We're gonna have to go a different route." Like that's just yeah, very
Well, and
crazy.
and I mean, there's no telling what Jaden Daniels is hearing from him. Of sitting there of like they're going to him saying, "Hey, can you get a hold of Iayuk?" And he's like, "Man, I don't know. I don't know. Like something is going on. I to the point that you really do start worrying about somebody. Like
Right.
you do worry about where they're at mental health wise, because this is not normal person behavior. Like most people, when you have this kind of money on the line, um, and it's not, I mean, this isn't, I don't know, this isn't like a sort of principled stance. It feels like of like, um, this violates my principles as a human being. Like I don't want to do something that I think would be detrimental to other people. It's just like he just doesn't. There seems to be no desire here. Like, and people will say this is the conversation we had earlier in the year with people. I'm like, people kept saying, like Zion Young, that we needed it to just disregard the fact that he got a DUI, that he had an assault charge after a game. We need some guys with some crazy. And I'm like, look, I will tell you, the 49ers, one thing you see about everybody they pick right now is these guys have got to have really high character in interviews. Because when you look at some of the things that they've gone through, that they've been trying to do that, and the drama that they dealt with Deebo Samuel, I will tell you the reason why
Yeah.
they've treated Nick Bosa different than Deebo Samuel, even though both had contract standoffs that went deep into it, is that Nick Bosa didn't create a bunch of drama by going through the contract standoff. He didn't unfollow the 49ers on social media. He didn't request a trade. He didn't go through these things to make it very public. Brandon Iayuk did that, and their contract negotiations were notoriously fraught with
Unfollowed the
things.
team, all that
He did the same
stupid
thing Deebo
stuff.
did. Like,
Yeah.
so you see somebody like Zion Young, and you're like, no, I doubt they touch him with a 10-foot pole, especially then with what Raheem Morris went through with James Pierce in Atlanta and what happened with him. Like, you don't see this from the true leaders on the team and the guys that they do reward time and time again, the Fred Warners, the Christian McCaffreys, the George Kittles. You don't see that really public drama. I know there's been drama with Trent Williams. That's a little bit different. Trent's, he's about his money, man. But Trent will show up to work through it. Brandon
Yeah.
Iayuk is just gone. I don't know. I just, this is not normal person behavior. Of course, wide receivers are always been kind of head cases. Just ask the Philadelphia Eagles about that. They're dealing with their second version of To right now.
Yeah. Which we will
They
face
got to trade him away.
on
But
Sunday Night Football next
yeah,
year,
yeah.
2027. Let's get into the
And so
schedule a little
Jawan
bit.
Jennings, let's get to the Jawan
Oh,
Jennings
yeah.
thing a little bit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would just say, Jawan, look, I get it. He's going to be sour. He wanted that big contract from the 49ers. He has missed like his window for his big contract in his life. Again, I will say that's on Jawan. He overvalued himself. Clearly overvalued
He's
himself.
still got millions as a what, 7th rounder, right?
No, no, like I'm not saying I'm not look, I'm not saying cry me a river over that, but I'm more saying like he
He lost money
this
though.
is a
He
big,
lost.
big, big, big drop.
Yeah.
He valued himself at $20 million a year. That's just insane. And he was never going to be that way. And I'm sorry, it comes. This is what I mean. It comes down to the genetic jackpot. If Jawan Jennings had Brandon Ayuk speed, we're talking. You give him that contract, no problem. You know, like you love JJ. Um, JJ's just he was his ceiling. He has a true ceiling as a wide receiver. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. So you unfollowing liking the things about the 49ers being old and out of their thing. Look, there's clearly been some tension there between Kyle and Juwan and John for a while. Remember their blow up on the sideline last year? It's clearly because he was dealing with his bruised ribs and wasn't in there. Demarcus Robinson was in and dropped a pass, and Kyle Shannon was looking around for Juwan. Where's he at? And then they had a blow up on the sideline. Um, you know, I think anybody that when you're in that situation where you feel like I should have gotten this, you should have paid me. You told me I was gonna get rewarded, and then they don't meet what you think you're worth. There's gonna be some sour grapes there. It just is like, and they replace you with an older receiver. Like, right, like they let you go, and then they sign Mike Evans, who's 4 years older than you. You're gonna be like, yeah, well, you bring in this old guy. Well, that old guy has a lot more credentials behind his name than you do. So it's gonna be interesting. It does add a little spiciness to the Mexico City game as we dive into the schedule here.
Yes.
That the 49ers will be hosting because it's one of their games, their home games. They're in Mexico City, which is just I don't know. I'm not excited about how it comes. They have to come off of this game in Mexico City, but on November 22nd, I mean the week like this the Sunday before Thanksgiving. These guys, like I will say, the league said we're gonna make it up to you, for having to travel to international games, and I'm sorry, I don't believe it at all. I think they generally just kind of said, yeah, we'll make it up to you, but they didn't, because you're
Yeah.
you're asking players to leave the country, go to Mexico City, which is like at 8,000 feet elevation the Sunday before Thanksgiving on Sunday night in Mexico City, and then fly back. Like they're not going to get home until like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning on Monday from that game. Then turn around, have Thanksgiving that week. Their families have to deal with traveling to Mexico City, then having Thanksgiving that week. Oh, and you face the Seahawks that
After.
next Sunday, who are coming off of a bye.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, but at least it's at home. Still, that's tough. Let's go through this. Let's go through by month. We know, okay, the preseason big deal.
Well, the preseason
Titans
actually is going to be really interesting. We're facing the Titans, so we get to have Robert Saleh come back in. I would not be surprised
and
if
it's
the
at
49ers
home.
have a joint practice there with Tennessee.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like that's probably already in the works, and we're going to hear the announcement about it very soon. They're going to have a joint practice with Tennessee leading up to that, and then do that. I mean, they may do it against the Chargers, but I doubt you're going to have a joint practice with a team that you're going to face during the year.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to me, Chargers or Raiders. This is the first time I think I've ever seen the 49ers face two teams in preseason that they then have to play during the season. So I mean
Yeah,
that
that's
really does
interesting.
knock out joint practices. You're not gonna do installs with these guys while you have to go play both of them, and both of them have your former offensive coordinators on their staffs.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna understand exactly what you're doing during your installs during that week. So if you're gonna face somebody who's it's kind of wild that you're facing three teams in the preseason that all have Shanahan's like former coordinators
all their guys,
on.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I do like that since we are the most traveled team in the NFL this year, that for preseason we start at home, then we go to Levi South, and then we go to Vegas, so not very far. I do like that.
I would
So
rather though them not make us go to Vegas. Like it's still kind of ridiculous of like you're gonna have them go to Vegas, come back, get
well,
ready,
how
and
long
then
is that
fly to
flight?
Australia. It doesn't matter though. Like the fact that you have to get on a plane, they can drive down to LA. Like
Yeah,
because and the bigger thing is like you have to remember injuries. Like when guys are dealing with inflammation and injuries, flights do exacerbate inflammation. Guys coming back from an ACL, like or like if this is a George Kittle's not making that trip to Las Vegas. Nick
yeah,
Bosa is not making that trip to Las Vegas. Micah Williams is not making that trip to Las Vegas because that exacerbates the inflammation coming back from their injuries when you get on that plane and the pressure changes. Because remember, planes get pressurized to like 8,000 feet elevation,
yeah,
so it's like you're going up to 8,000 and then back down pretty quick. So
yeah.
it does make inflammation worse. And then these guys who deal with that inflammation have to get on a like 16, 17-hour flight to Australia and then fly back. Like I get they get the 3 extra days, they get but like
Yeah, but it's a lot.
this is just
Australia,
wild to me. Like I
yeah,
get that we want to open the market of Australia, but come on.
yeah.
Come on.
Not
Like
this way. There's other
like
ways. Do it with the
yeah.
Do it with the Saints and the Titans, like, or the well, the Jaguars
I
are actually
just
good now. I don't know, the Browns. Do it
I
with
mean
crappy,
like they wanted to do it with West Coast teams because then the travel is a little bit less. Like I get that.
yeah,
I
it's
get that you're going to
just
do that. I mean, if you look at
well, the
who are you going to
Cardinals then.
send.
Do it with the Cardinals, they suck.
Yeah, but they're even farther away. Like they did it with 2 of the 3 closest teams to Australia. Like I understand that.
Yeah,
But it's just a situation where I don't know. I at some point here, you can't like the NFL has to stop this narrative that the reason they just need to be upfront with it and say the reason we want an 18 game season is because we want more money. Like you just quit selling me on this, Goodell, that well, we just look at it that our product does not meet the standards of what the NFL product is, and we want
yeah,
to have a
get
better
out of
product
here.
for the fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Knock
yeah.
off the product BS. If you did that, you wouldn't be flying your teams out to Australia when you have guys coming off of major injuries and back. Like you wouldn't be doing that. That is simply you want to create buzz in Australia so you get more eyeballs and ad revenue in Australia. Like that's why you're doing that. That's why we do the international games. This is nothing more than trying to open up another market. And I get it with I'm with Mike B. Like I like Australia, but what's the market there? Like the entire Australian economy is less than $1 trillion. Like like their economy is like their entire gross domestic product something like $980 billion. It's smaller than California,
And they're proud
like
of
as a market.
rugby. They're proud of it. Let them be
Yeah, like
proud of
yeah,
it.
they love their rugby.
They
They
love
love their
that's
cricket. Like
fine.
that's fine, but why are we so desperate to open up that market that we say I mean, it's going to be next year we're going to have a game in India. Like that's just because they're going to say that's a lot of people to open up a market
Right?
there for, right?
Japan,
And
like, oh, there's a lot of people
I
in
mean,
Japan.
there will be a game in Japan in at some point. There's going to be a game whenever they can break through that. And well, have we had a game in China yet? I don't remember. I mean, they're going to open up these markets. Like they're trying to get to countries that have a little bit closer culture of the Europe and Australia first, and then Mexico has been close ties. Canada, like they're trying to get these markets, but don't sell me that it's a better product. Like, do not sell me it's a better product. You can't do this to players. Do this where I mean, especially in a game. Like I also see it when you go through these college prospects. It's like the the margin of difference in the NFL is not like 10%, 15% from player to player. We're talking like 1% difference. 1% differences on players is the difference between you are a playoff team and you're not. and you're getting blown out because the margins in the NFL are so tight. And to the fact that you have like Christian McCaffrey turns the 5G off on his phone at night because he's just like, I'm not going to take the chance that that's going to do anything to my body, because that 1% makes a difference. If it's even that, all these things add up. That's how these guys are. You can't tell me that flying to Australia and back is not going to degrade these guys by 1%
Right.
at minimum.
That's a tough sale. Yeah.
And so, like, where it frustrates me is now you have that, and then you've got to go into what should be your winnable slate of games. Because when you look at the back end of this schedule, man, it gets rough. Because you open there against LA, you've got a tough task. You got to go play a really good team. Flying way, I get it. They're dealing with the same thing, but they're also not dealing with their two edge rushers coming off of ACL injuries, and their tight end coming off of a ruptured Achilles. So that sucks. Really puts you behind the 8 ball on that, with guys rehabbing injuries. Then you face the Dolphins, you face the Cardinals. You have got to win those 2 games. Like,
Absolutely. You
this
have to
this is
be
a
two
this
and
is
one.
a schedule
At least
that
two
you
and
have
one.
got to beat the teams that you should beat. You do not have a margin for error with this schedule, because you could easily be a 9-win team if you don't take care of every team that you should take care of. You have the 2 best. You're facing the 2 best divisions in football on this season. The AFC West and the NFC West are the 2 best divisions in football, and so you've got to play both of them. You have to play the Rams twice, the Seahawks twice. They're both in the NFC Championship game. Then you got to go play the Chargers, the Chiefs, and
Broncos.
the Broncos in that season.
And the
That
Raiders is always a rivalry. Remember,
the Raiders
we
is a rivalry. They've
went to
completely rebuilt
overtime
their
with
roster.
them. Yeah. Who
They've
knows?
got Kubiak over there now.
Yeah.
And then you've still got to face teams that are talented and not going to be easy in the Eagles and the Cowboys.
And the
So,
Commanders, we'll see what the Commanders
and
do.
the
They had
Commanders,
a good
like,
draft. They had a good draft.
they had a good draft. They were a huge disappointment last year. They didn't have Jaden Daniels almost all year. So, like, when you look at the start of this season, I don't feel great about this LA game.
Yeah.
I get, like, other people I think are much more confident than me. I'm looking at it as, if anybody needed a soft on ramp onto the season, it was the 49ers, because you have Bosa, Williams, Kittle coming back from major injuries, and it takes a little bit. That big time travel is hard on these guys. I remember when Jimmy G in 2019 was coming off of his ACL tear, they were at the beginning of the season. They kept talking about having to try and manage whenever they were traveling, because that knee would inflame every time that they would travel when you fly. And so, having this super long flight there and back is going to be hard on those 3 guys, really hard on those 3 guys, of managing inflammation. And so then you got to face Miami, you got to face these Arizona. Those are your games you should win. But I wonder, is the toll from week 1 going to make those games harder? And then you go face the Broncos.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier at all.
Like, not excited about that. Now, it is a home game. They did say, we're going to let you stay home for the next 3 games, so that does help with travel. But then you got to go face Seattle. And then Washington comes to face you. You go to Atlanta, and this is where I'll segue into Mr. Cayman's Island with the super chat. He comes in
Yes.
and says, I got my tickets. Where y'all at? I will
Yeah.
say, this morning, I got my tickets. I got my tickets to the Atlanta game this morning before the show. That was one reason I was hurrying up in here, because I was initially trying to get tickets in the end zone. They had some tickets at a decent price. I went to buy them. They were already gone by the time I completed the checkout. And then I got an extra charge in my card, and I was like trying to figure it out. I'm like, I didn't get these tickets. Why are they charging me? And so I'm like, okay. But I ended up getting my tickets. I'm in the second level, kind of in the corner, is where I'm at. So I am gonna be there at the Atlanta game. I'm so excited. This is my first game in 13 years. This
That's
has been a
crazy.
long time since I've been to a game. It's expensive to go to a game. I was
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Like it is tough. And I was like, I've got to book a hotel. It's like close enough, but not close enough. And so I didn't want to risk like not getting it in there. And I saw that this game's gonna sell out. Like this game is gonna sell out. So if you want to go to the Atlanta game, I would suggest getting your tickets, not waiting too long, and because they're the prices are already going up. Now that they may go down, and then you might be able to get one there, but I feel like this game's going to sell out. There's a lot of buzz for this game. It's going to be there. It's the game right before the bye week. I'm going to be there at the 49ers Rush Road Trip. I've already been in contact with one John Chapman. Love John Chapman. And so my wife and I are going to be there at the 49ers Rush Road Trip tailgate there before the game. You can go check it out on any of John's socials. You can go to his YouTube. You can go to his X account. He's got the links there for where you can go, 49ersrushroadtrip.com, and go get your tickets for that. So it's gonna be good. And I will say, if you're not from the Southeast, be thankful that that game is not in early September, because unless you've been to the Southeast during that time of the year, you don't understand how hot it is and how unforgivingly hot it is. Like, it doesn't cool down. It is just hot all all day long, all night long. It is just hot. So there's a reason they call it Hotlanta. But it's at a wonderful time of the year. That should be incredible weather. Should be like 75 during the day. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, my roommate is from Atlanta. He is a Falcons fan. And I have a lot of 49er friends who are legitimate friends with Jesse Bates. So I do have to figure that out and see, and I can go with them and
If Jesse's
maybe.
still on the team, there's rumors that the 49ers may want to go and trade for him.
Oh my gosh, that would I would freak out. I would freak out if we got Jesse Bates. That's not happening. There's no
It's
way.
not happening. I will say this game is going to be like really close to almost 13 years on the day. I think the last game I went to was on October 12th, I think was what it was, or 5th, somewhere around there. It was in October. I went to 49ers versus Cardinals at Candlestick in
Whoa.
2013.
Wow. The
So
stick?
yeah, it was at the Stick. I've never been to a
Gosh.
game at Levi's. But
Wow.
and I had never been to a game at Candlestick, because I'd been to 3 games up at
Oh,
Seattle's Field,
Seattle.
which
Yeah.
was first Quest Field, then it was CenturyLink Field, and now it's Lumen Field. Um, I had been to 3 games up there, but had never been to a game at Candlestick, and so I was like,
Yeah.
I need to experience Candlestick before it's gone." And so my wife and we went to I was like, "But I want it to be a win." So I picked the Cardinals game,
Yeah.
because I knew it, and I had great seats. I was on, like, the 35-yard line on this in the 7th row, on the visitor side, so on the big ramp side. I realized why they wanted a new stadium. I was like, okay, yeah, I was literally walked down onto the field to go to the bathroom, and it was a dirt floor in the bathroom. I was like, okay, I kind of get it. And the concessions were way up there, and it was a tiny little ring, and I was like, I get it now. But that's the game I went to. It was a big game. Vernon Davis was coming off of a pulled hamstring, and I think he still had like a 55-yard touchdown in that game. We won big time. Uh, it was a great experience. I will say tickets were way cheaper back then, because I got those tickets for, I think it was like $210 was the total. And I was on the seventh row, like literally seventh row from the field, at the 35-yard line. Like
Yeah.
ain't nothing close to that now. I was like, gosh,
Oh,
the
yeah.
NFL
I was
inflation
in
is real.
I was in that spot from Monday Night Football against the Jets where McCaffrey didn't play, and that ruined the whole season, and I
Um,
can tell you it was not $210.
Yeah, yeah, but it was fascinating. I remember the people who were sitting to the left of us were season ticket holders from the '70s. Like, they had been to every single home game for over 30 years, at like 35 years at that point. The guy on my right was a couple from New York City. This was their first NFL game ever. And so, like, it was a wild experience. It was great. I will always remember it. But yeah, so this is the first time in 13 years we're going back to a game, an NFL game. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a good game. It should be a win. Again, it should be a win. Um, you're this is one of those games you can't lose. Like you can't go into Atlanta and lose this game because you coming off of this bye, it is brutal. This is a brutal schedule coming off the bye. And it starts out not too bad. You get the Raiders. Okay, I get it. They had the number one overall pick. They're probably not going to be a really great team, but they're not going to be a bad team. I mean, the biggest thing holding
And
them
it's
back last year,
rivalry. It's rivalry.
it's rivalry, and you have the coaches know each other, but you're coming off of a year where it felt like the Raiders weren't just the number one overall pick because they were just a really untalented team. It felt like they were the number one overall pick because they were an absolute mess of an organization. Pete Carroll did not want to come in there and do a full rebuild. Like that was just the reality. And it felt like there was 5 different hands trying to run the ship. They added a ton of talent. You know, they kept Max Crosby. It's one of those moments I'm like, gosh, I wish that trade had gone through. Because I'd really rather play the Raiders without Max Crosby than with. But you should win that game. You should. But then you go to Dallas. So this is where it becomes really challenging, where I say the NFL is not looking out for the 49ers on this, because you've got to go to Dallas. Then your next game is going to be in Mexico City. Even though it's a home game, it's in Mexico City. So you're leaving your home on November 14th. You're probably not coming back to your home until November 23rd at 5 in the morning. So you're going to have to go 10 days, play 2 games in that time, one of them in Mexico City at 8,000 feet elevation, play a talented Cowboys team, and then a very physical Minnesota team, where you're going to be chasing Kyler Murray around, and where they have that bang up receiver core. I mean, that receiver core is going to be a challenge. You've got to go do that. Then you come home, supposed to have Thanksgiving that week with your family, and then go and then host the Seahawks. This is the defending Super Bowl champs. That's going to be a brutal 3-week stretch there. That's going to be a brutal 3-week stretch. Then you've got to go to MetLife, the taker of ACLs. You have to go to MetLife, play on that horrible turf, fly across the country, and then come back and face the Rams that next week. Then you go to Levi South, face the Chargers. Then you have to come back from there, then travel again and go face the Chiefs, then come back and in 6 days face the Eagles.
Not fun.
Not fun. That is a brutal stretch there of between, because you're not only facing tough teams, but you're also facing really tough conditions of having to travel to it's like you should beat the Cowboys, but it's at their house and it's the week before you got to go to Mexico City. There are things that make that game harder. You got to go face New York, but you have to go to MetLife and play on that horrible turf. And then you come off that and you face 3 really good teams, the Rams, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. That situation with the potential of losing somebody really important at MetLife just scares the snot out of me.
All of
I mean,
December is on the road, except for the one home game. It's, no big deal, the Rams. Other than that, all the games in December are on the road, every single one.
Yeah.
That's just tough, man. Merry
It
Christmas.
is tough.
Merry Christmas.
For real. Merry Christmas to the 49ers. This is a schedule, man. And now I will say, you look at the Seahawks schedule, they're sitting there kind of going, that's a rough schedule. Because why? And same with the Rams. They're looking and going, That's kind of a rough schedule. Because when you have to face the NFC West and the AFC West, like it's just going to be a rough schedule. It
And
really is.
and the Seahawks finished first, so they play the firsts, right, of all the other teams that they play. That's how that schedule breakdown works. That's why last year we had the easiest schedule projected, right?
Yeah.
And so that plays into it too for the Seahawks. I mean, so I get
Yeah,
if you're a
because
fan,
like they have to play the Bears and we play the Vikings. They have
right?
to play the Buccaneers, whereas we play the Falcons. Like that's that or sorry, they play the Panthers where we play the Falcons. That's where the difference is. I will say, kind of looking at that, I'm like, I don't really see that much of a difference between the
Well,
Panthers
right
and the
on
Falcons.
that, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but but that's what plays into it. And we all have to play the NFC East, which, has the Eagles and the Cowboys, but then after that I don't know about Washington. I mean, Washington is still a wild card in here. I will say Tracy makes a good point. That and when you play in KC, it's gonna be like it's not gonna be shorts and t-shirt weather there in Kansas City around December 27th. So there's that. Man, it's um like I think people are people are saying the 49ers have the 15th easiest schedule. I don't believe it. I don't like
well, it
when
never
you
shakes out that way
it
either.
never
The
shakes
last
out
like
that
the
way.
last
Last
hero
year we were supposed
says,
to have the easiest and it ended
and
up
it was the
being
top
about
5 toughest.
mid. Like this schedule is gonna be rough. I expect Washington to be better than they were last year. Like I expect the Raiders to be better than they were last year. I expect the Vikings to be better than they were last year. Those are three. I expect the Chiefs to be better than they were last year. Like that's one thing that's making these schedules easier is that like the Chiefs were a 6-11 team last year, right? Um,
Right, right.
and like do the Chiefs feel like a 6-11 team? No.
Well,
Like
of
the
course
Chiefs,
not. Right,
like
right.
no, the Chiefs don't. I mean, and we're gonna get they made sure that the Chiefs weren't facing the 49ers until Patrick Mahomes was gonna be like fully healthy. So like I get that. Now the 49ers, we should be better than we were last year. There's no doubt about that. I also felt like we were a 12-5 team that was punching above our weight last year.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So we could be 12-5, but feel better, feel
we
like a
could
better
we could
team,
be better and
honestly.
we could be quite a bit better and be a 12-5 team.
We
I
could
I
be
think
11-6 and be and again, in quotes, "be
and
better."
be
We
better
could.
and also be the 7th seed. Like that's
Yeah.
what's wild is we the pathway to now again, there's so much that happens between then and now. You have OTAs, training camp, mini camps. Never know what's going to happen with any of these teams and any of us with injuries between then and now. That changes a lot of things. Don't know how rehabs are going to go. If somebody's going to have a setback in here. Um, and that really does change everything. The 49ers going into last year, we were probably a 13 win team if it's not for three major injuries, right? Um, so like there's always that wild card in there. It's crazy to think that we're sitting here at May 15th and we have almost 4 months before the start of the season. And 4 months ago, we were in the playoff, we were playing a playoff game. Like it feels like the season is much closer than it is because there's so much that happens in the off season in the first 3 months. And then we hit that lull that we're coming up to here in the next couple weeks where you're going to have like 2 months where there's really nothing going on. It's the dead zone. But, with it, the schedule on this, I do think that the 49ers, like some people are like, I love it. I love it. Prove it against the best, beat the best and you'll be battle hardened. I don't think that way. I'm like, give me the easiest schedule. I don't care. I don't care what people are going to say because when you're 15-2 and you had the easiest schedule, nobody cares. Then it was going to be like, well, you don't get a home playoff game because you don't get to host through the playoffs because you had the easiest schedule. No, you get to host through the playoffs because that's
Right.
all that really matters at the end. Like there, and so yeah, I'll just yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's end with this. I'm curious what do the faithful think of everyone taking jabs at us in the schedule release? The Chargers,
It wasn't
um,
everyone. It wasn't everyone. It was mainly the Chargers. I think the Chargers knocked it out of the park with
yeah, I thought it was funny.
their schedule release. I mean, they also took a shot at Vrabel and Rossini,
Yes,
which
we
was
knew
a
that
little
was coming.
funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew somebody had to do it.
The
Eh,
Colts did The
ah,
Simpsons. I thought that was well done.
I will say that had to be it. They had to
The
use AI for so much of this stuff. Like
yeah.
that,
How
there's
about
no
Matt
way.
Ryan? How about Matt Ryan? The This Is
with
Sports
with
Center.
with the ESPN, this
That
is
was
Sports Center ones.
hilarious.
That was pretty good. Um,
The Raiders take on Step Brothers, I thought was really good because they got two nerds, right?
yeah,
In Kirk Cousins and Mendoza. And it's like the play on that was pretty good. Like the opening scene, you have to call me Nighthawk in Step Brothers. And then so Kirk Cousins, like, you have to call me Two Chains cuz, or I don't know, whatever it was. Like, that's so good. That was well done. I don't mind teams taking shots at us in
no,
that
well, I mean, it's the
regard, in
social
that
media
regard.
directors,
Yeah, yeah, it's
just
funny.
remember, like, these are like the drama club kids at in high school are the ones that are putting together the schedule release videos. Like,
Yeah.
just remember those kids from high school. They're the ones that are doing this. So,
Yeah. All in good fun. I did not take offense to anything. I thought it was
well,
pretty
like,
good.
people have to remember, like, there's a lot they're doing that is not, being 100% checked by everything. Um, because if not, you wouldn't have the 49ers social media managers posting clips of Dejon Stribling doing punt coverage drills and having the caption on it, route runner. Like, I can tell you, John Lynch did not approve that, like, did not watch that video first, proofread it, and approve it. Like, they do their job, they're pumping it out. So, like, these are the same people that are putting out the schedule releases. So, like, I guarantee you that it wasn't necessarily where like Jim Harbaugh was like, yeah, let's take a shot at the Patriots, and Mike Vrabel, and let's take a shot at the substation that I practice next to for 4 years. Like, you're not having that go on. So
Yeah. No, that was good. Um, I I
hey, and I'll just
wonder.
say I'm not poking fun at the drama club kids. I lettered
Yeah,
in drama in high school. I also lettered in football and I lettered in band. So I have no problem with that.
nerd
I was
alert.
all over the place there. I mean, if people don't know I'm a nerd by now, a
Yeah,
nerd that played football and loves football, then I don't know how you wandered into this channel. So
yeah. History nerd as well. All right. So do you have, looking at this, you've had time, as you made it clear to me that you knew the schedule was out before I did when it leaked. It always leaks. I
yeah,
sent Johnny a
you
text.
followed the right people. Cayman Island was texting me. He's like, "You got John Lynch's number or something?" Because I was sending him when the weeks of certain games were, like 2 hours before the schedule. I'm like, "No, you follow the right people."
Yeah,
There's leaks that come out.
there's
Yeah,
always leaks for sure.
there is always leaks.
Uh Dawn, the lovely Dawn Dell is checking in just to laugh. Hey
Yeah,
Dawn, happy Friday. All right, so here's my question, Johnny. After looking at these these teams, they are situated the way they are for us. Do you have, what is your take on 11 and 6, 12 and 5? Where do you land on this in the way too early to tell uh phase of May
I mean,
15th?
it's hard. I bounce back and forth between, like, pure pessimism and
And
pure
then
optimism.
17 and 0.
No, not quite like that. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, like, my pessimistic side, we're gonna lose this. That's at least 5 losses. Then I'm like, well, we could
Right.
easily be 12-5. That's not unrealistic. And then I'm like,
I'm
yeah, but
giving us one more after that then.
you
I'll
could
come
also.
out and say,
I'm like, I've also thought about it and thought we could be 9-8. So I'm like,
yeah.
okay, people saying we're gonna sweep the NFC West. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Yeah, that's not, no, come on. N-
I think we split games with Seattle and LA.
Yeah. No team
which
will
is what we
sweep. I
did
don't
last
I
year.
don't think
That is what
even
we did last year.
Seattle didn't even sweep, and they won the Super Bowl. All right, so let's calm down.
Yeah. Like I think they you split the games like you did last year with LA and Seattle.
But you
We
sweep
won week
Arizona for
1,
the
we
love of
lost
God.
week 18. We won, was that week 5? And then we lost week 13 around there. I just can't remember exactly when the weeks were last year, but we won the first matchups on both of them. Injuries piled up. We lost the second matchups against both of them. So I can see that. That's 2 losses. I don't see us losing to the Cardinals. The Cardinals do not have a quarterback. Okay.
He's
I get
holding
it.
out. The one that
Last year,
they have, he's holding out, I think.
Brissett, no, like they've told him he's going to be or are you talking about Rodgers? No, they've told Brissett he's going to be the starting quarterback next year.
I think he wants more money though.
He's going to be their quarterback. They don't have options. Okay. And they're like, they've got to have, but Brissett's not leading them to 8 wins this year. Like, it's not happening.
Beck isn't either. Carson Beck is who they drafted.
Yeah, like I'm not. I get it. They've got some really good talent. They've got Walter Nolan. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Like they've got some talent. They've got Higbee as tight end. Like, they've got some talent. They've also got a lot of really bad role players. Like, you look at who their role players are and their offensive line and some the other guys on the defensive line, their linebackers, they don't have the talent to go toe to toe. We're not losing to the Cardinals. So I'm like, okay, I see 2 losses in there. I could see us losing just because of the way that some of these games work out between the
Right.
Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos. I could see us losing 2 of those games. And also because we don't take the out of conference games as seriously. And historically, both Brock and Kyle aren't as good against out of conference people. And I just feel like something's going to go wrong before that Chiefs game. So yeah, sorry, McBride, not Higbee. But I'm like, I could see us losing 2 of those. So that's 4 losses. Okay, and then I look between Dallas, Philadelphia, New York, Washington. I only see 1 loss in there. So I think we win 3 of those. Now, what are those losses going to be? I don't know. I feel like we go 3-1 against the NFC East. So that leaves the Falcons, the Vikings, the Dolphins as the other 3 games. And I go,
we're definitely winning in Mexico.
I feel like we're winning in Mexico. We should stomp the Dolphins. They're in a middle of a rebuild. Again, but this is what I mean. Like, they're tanking. Like, but you have to handle business against them. Like, if you let them beat you, that is bad news. That's bad news. That is a game you can't afford to lose. So, like, I feel like you should win it in Atlanta. I'm going to be there. You better win, and you better win against the Vikings. So, like, I see that as a path. I go, okay, that's 5 losses. So that's 12-5. Like, I feel like we have a really good shot there at 12 at a 12-5 season. There is a pathway to 13-4. There's a pathway to 14-3. There's a pathway to 17-0, but I don't believe that's actually going to happen. But I think this is a pathway. Like, I see us. I think this is going to be a season where everybody is still panicking. Like, October 18th, everybody is panicking, I think, because I think the team could be 2-3, and everybody really just like just panicking their brains out over the team being 2-3, and we're lost. Shanahan needs to be fired. Why do we bring in Raheem Morris? And then, like, because that's just tends to be the pattern of this team. And then you win, you get a bye, you win, and you're 6-3, and everybody's going, oh, hey, you're looking good. And then you win, and you're 8-3, and everybody's like, we're going to the Super Bowl. And then you're going to have that rough stretch. You might lose to the Seahawks.
The Rams.
You might beat the Seahawks, and everybody says, we're going to the Super Bowl. You beat the Giants, but you lose 3 players at MetLife, and everybody says, we're doomed, we're cursed. And then you lose to the Rams, and everybody says, see, this is what's going on. Or you beat the Rams, and everybody says, it's incredible what they've done, but this isn't everything. We're going to get stomped down the end here. And then we throttle the Cardinals before the end of the season, and everybody says, okay, it could happen. This could be the year. I don't know. I've just taken you through the season, the emotions up and down. There you went.
Yeah.
And that's why you subscribe. But I will say I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate the members of JFA49.com for all of your support. I have watched more film this offseason than I have ever watched, and it's been because you guys have been supporting the channel throughout this. It makes it possible for us. I remember I texted Wayne Breezy yesterday, and I was like, because I was trying to get him on this morning, but he had a prior commitment. But I was like, man, I've watched so much film this last 2 weeks. I feel like I'm going cross-eyed. I've watched something like 60 games in the last few weeks. But we've got some film on Grayson Halton in the can that's ready to go for Monday. Got some film on Carver Willis that I've got all the clips pulled. I need to organize them now and everything on Carver Willis. I'm really excited about that episode because it's going to give me a chance to dive into the offensive line play for the 49ers and kind of break down why we have the approach we do with the offensive line. Because it does come from not just a philosophical standpoint on the offensive line, but a philosophical approach to offense. And people can argue with that, whichever way you want. The fact is, the 49ers have been a top 5 offense in most of their time under Kyle Shanahan. And there's very few people who can say that. There's very few teams. Like, if you look over the last 9 years, who the best offenses have been, it's like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. I mean, we think about Andy Reid, but the last few years, the Chiefs' offense has not been great. They have not been good.
Their run game is
Andy Reid's never really had a run game, but like their overall offense they've been carried by their defense, and they have Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to make it seem like I'm downplaying him, but like they have been the great team they've been because they have had one of the best defenses in the league the last 3 years.
yeah.
And it was Mahomes and Kelsey. Outside of that, they have had very little offensive production, and so like when we played them in the Super Bowl, they were the 17th best offense in the league that year. So like they have not been they have not been an offense that has performed consistently anywhere close to Kyle Shanahan. So people can say, well, this is a bad approach to roster construction or approach to football. And you go, but the numbers don't add that out. Like he's consistently been in the top end of the league as far as offense every single, just about every single year. And nobody else outside Sean McVay can say that. I mean, even Mike McDaniel there in Miami, there was a year was up and then it was back down. And you can say that with the Bills, like they've had years it's been up and then been back down. And same thing with the Ravens, like they've sometimes been an explosive offense, sometimes they haven't. And it wasn't like Kyle did this with all of his offensive players playing all the time. So their philosophical approach really does work out. And the way that they build their offensive line, it's all centered around we want you to do certain things really well because this is what we need to have the philosophical approach of our offense. And we'll dive into all of that. And so I'm really excited about that episode. That's going to be a week from today is we're going to go do that, break down Carver Willis and dive into that. And hopefully I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to show it because I got some of their spring drill tapes with installed stuff with Chris Forrester, but I got to be careful how if I share anything of that. So, but that's where the basis of it is.
Okay, so stay tuned, hit the notification bell. I will not be around Monday. I have an all day work thing that I'm doing. But yes, excited for a week from today. Excited just as we get closer and closer to Niners and pads, and I mean it's gonna come quicker than that stuff, we're in that downtime right now, but it is coming.
I
It's
mean,
coming.
we're only 2 months away from being from a countdown to training camp. Like training camp, I start getting excited again. I'm like, yeah, real
That's
football,
what I'm
let's
saying. That's
go.
what I'm saying.
So
And we can end on a super chat. The last hero says, "Thanks for the super chat. Have you done a study on how many recent Super Bowl winners have had O lines like Shanahan's? Because it seems every Super Bowl winner in recent history had big offensive lines." That's a very good question.
um
Now you need to. now you need to.
well
Now you need to
well,
pull up the
I
last
haven't
10
done a
winners,
study on it,
maybe.
but I guess okay, so I mean I was planning on getting this next Friday, but I'll try and do this in 5 minutes. The likelihood of getting an offensive line that is more athletic, stronger, bigger than the defensive line you face in the Super Bowl is next to nothing. So if you look at it like Mark Schlereth has made this point of he says the hardest position to play in football is offensive line because that is the only position where you are pretty much guaranteed to be less athletic than the guy across from you and you're expected to win every time.
Yeah.
So if you look at what's the highest paid position outside of quarterback in the NFL?
Um, the highest
Adam's
paid
like, I wasn't
outside.
expecting a question. Yeah,
No, the
highest paid position outside of
well, defensive
quarterback.
end is
Yeah,
is
edge,
up
right? So
there.
Win McDonald just signed a $50 million year contract. Micah Parsons, $46.5 million
Yeah,
a
so
year.
that guy is supposed to win, is what you're saying.
Williams, like $35
Quinn
million
in
a year.
millions.
Quinn
Quinn.
Millions. Quinn Williams, like $35 million a year. Okay. So you have Will McDonald is making $50 million a year. Trent Williams just restructured his contract. He's at $27 million a year. Okay. So if you are a super because I think somebody was like, man, looking at one of these clips on this guy, should Alfred Collins have actually been an offensive tackle? Because his size, like you look at his size, he's like an offensive tackle. Why wasn't he an offensive tackle? Well, because he was more athletic. And so they put him, so you play on the defensive side. Because if you want to go make money, where the most money is, it's going to be on the defense side of the ball. Like if Alfred Collins is a top 10 defensive tackle, how much money does he make? If he's, Javon Kinlaw, remember just a few years ago, even 4 years ago, the 49ers signed him to a $24 million a year contract. Okay, that was 4 years ago. Now you're looking at that kind of a defensive tackle is going to make $32 million a year. If you look at an offensive tackle, you're not making that kind of money, right? Because there are rarer traits that go into playing the defensive tackle position, defensive edge position than offensive positions because they want guys who are bigger, faster, stronger than the offensive line. Like that is just a fact. You look at I will say Landon Dickerson is maybe one of your most athletic guards and most powerful guards in the NFL. Okay, match him physically side by side measurables against Quinn Williams. Who's more athletic? Who's bigger? Who's stronger? Quinn Williams, right? So an offensive lineman has to win by technique. They have to win by their film study. They have to win by their approach, right? So if you say, well, I'm just going to get an offensive line that can move Quinn Williams, you're never going to get an offensive line that can do that. Like
Yeah.
that's not happening. So if you have an approach that says, well, I'm just gonna get the biggest, strongest, most athletic offensive line, you have to pay out the nose for that. And you're still gonna be less athletic than the guys across from you. Again, Aaron Donald. What offensive lineman has ever been as athletic as Aaron Donald? Has there ever been an offense like as athletic and amazing as Trent Williams is? Is he as athletic as Aaron Donald? I don't think so. Right? So if you look at this, you say if I build this offensive line to be the most athletic and biggest and strongest, I'm still not as good as the defensive line. So how do I need to win? I need to win by not letting that defensive line that know what I'm going to do. So they have to guess every single time what I'm trying to do and make it so I'm either running away from them or I'm giving my guys good angles, which at that point you give your offensive line a really good angle, they don't have to be bigger and stronger than the other guy. They if they meet a threshold of like 75% of that guy or 70% of that guy, they're going to be able to move him because you've given them an advantageous blocking angle. And that's what it really comes down to. So they're going to say philosophically the way we approach this game is we want every single play to look like something else and tie into something else so that we never have to ask our guys line up across from you and beat that man because that man is going to be bigger and stronger and more athletic than you. And that's a tough task for anybody. And so they're only going to ask him, don't do that. We're not going to ask you to do that 40 times a game. We're going to ask you to do that 10 times a game. And that's their approach. So we'll dive into that with a film on Carver Willis because I think Carver Willis has a really good shot at being their starting left guard. And so what they do is they say, instead of that, we're going to go get premier athletes at positions where they can change the game, like getting the ball in Debo Samuel's hands on a 10-yard pass and he breaks 4 tackles and he scores a 70-yard touchdown. At that point, it doesn't matter if you only had to have your offensive line win for 2.5 seconds. As long as they can do that, get in the way for 2.5 seconds, then all that money that other team spent on the defensive line doesn't matter because now you've taken it to where they didn't spend their money at linebacker and safety. And you have playmakers who can change the game that way. So that's how they approach it is we're gonna get the rarest human beings on the planet with our highest capital. Like that's what they tend to do. So that's why they spend early draft capital on edge, wide receiver, and they invest in guys like Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey. It's why they do that stuff. So
Yeah, very cool. Again, thanks for the super chat. This is the reason why you need to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when we go live. It's not always at the same times. Again, I will not be around on Monday, but for sure a week from today. Um, but in the meantime and in between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.